Oh boy, it was a rough ride for Ferrari in Bahrain. The team must have felt like they were stuck in a nightmare from last year, with deja vu hitting the fans hard. Even Leclerc, the team's driver, was feeling the disappointment and acknowledged the massive gap in pace and reliability between them and Red Bull. But hey, let's not forget the exciting race that went down, even if the outcome was pretty predictable. And who saw that coming? Aston Martin, the underdog, just popping up out of nowhere and snatching that podium spot. And let's not forget about Fernando Alonso and Stroll coming in 3rd and 6th. What a thrill! This season is going to be insane. But let's be real, Fred Vasseur has got a ton of work to do if they want to keep up with the competition, so let's get into it. Charles Leclerc is not feeling too hot after the Bahrain Grand Prix. He's feeling not really confident after seeing the massive gap in race pace between Ferrari and Red Bull. And let's be real, it's not just a little gap, it's huge. Leclerc is calling on Ferrari to get their act together and work on closing that gap ASAP. The poor guy had a pretty rough day at the season opener, with technical problems forcing him to retire from 3rd place on lap 41. Max Verstappen really showed everyone who's boss at the Bahrain Grand Prix. The guy took a dominant victory, with his teammate Sergio Perez finishing right behind him to complete a killer 1-2 for the Red Bull squad, and poor Charles Leclerc was left feeling pretty deflated after the event. And can you blame the guy? He realised that Ferrari was a whole second off the pace of the Red Bull squad. The media just had to know how Charles Leclerc was feeling after his retirement from the Bahrain Grand Prix. And boy, did he have some things to say. When asked about his confidence level during the race, he basically admitted to feeling a fish out of water, especially considering that Ferrari was a whole second off the pace of Red Bull. Yikes. And to make matters worse, he had to give props to the Red Bull squad, acknowledging that they seem to have found something really big in terms of their race pace. But on a positive note, at least Ferrari managed to keep up with Red Bull during qualifying, so there's that. But then we come to the race and we're a second every lap off the pace, which is huge. So we really need to work on that, plus the reliability. Now, prior to the race, Ferrari had to replace Leclerc's control electronics and energy store components after analysing the data from his power unit. And despite all the changes they made, the engine still ended up failing on him. Talk about a total bummer. And to make matters worse, it turns out the DNF was caused by an energy store and control unit failure, and these parts can't even be recovered. That means that Leclerc is going to have to face a grid penalty at some point during the 2023 season. Ugh, can anything else go wrong for this guy? But don't count him and Ferrari out just yet. They're determined to make a strong comeback in the next race. They'll be poring over the data from the engine failure to make sure that they can fix any issues before it's too late. Martin Brundle seems a bit baffled by Ferrari's inability to fine-tune their car setup during testing, despite logging hundreds of laps around Bahrain. The team blames their pace deficit to Red Bull on not being able to perfect their car's racing conditions. However, during the Bahrain Grand Prix, Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez held a comfortable lead over the rest of the pack, including Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, who eventually retired. Although Carlos Sainz managed to secure 4th place, Ferrari now find themselves locked in a fierce battle with Aston Martin and Mercedes to catch up to Red Bull. Ferrari had not 1 but 3 whole days of pre-season testing on the same layout as the Bahrain Grand Prix, followed by another 3 days of racing, and yet they still couldn't perfect their car setup. This seems a tad odd to former Formula 1 driver Martin Brundle. Ferrari claims they couldn't match Red Bull's pace due to their car not being fully optimized for racing conditions. However, their excuse doesn't seem to be holding up after Charles Leclerc had to retire from the race whilst on course for 3rd place due to some electrical system malfunction in his Ferrari power unit. Leclerc's failure came after Ferrari had to change the energy store battery pack in his car before the race, which was a surprise given you only have the use of 2 of those through the season before penalties kick in. As for their general lack of race pace compared to the Red Bulls, they're saying it was down to the car setup and race trim. But after 3 relentless days of testing in Bahrain and then a 3-day GP weekend, it seems a bit odd that the setup wasn't close to optimal. said Brundle. The Spaniard Carlos Sainz finished behind Fernando Alonso and a whopping 48 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Apparently, Ferrari struggled with tyre degradation more than their rivals, and the abrasive surface at the Bahrain International Circuit certainly didn't help matters. And get this, the track hasn't been resurfaced since it first appeared on the F1 calendar back in 2004. That means it's one of the most challenging tracks in terms of tyre management. It's clear that their car has something, both Red Bull and Aston Martin, where they degrade their tyres a lot less. If you look at Mercedes, we have very similar degradation, and these other two cars, for some reason, they don't degrade. So it's something that we'll have to analyse and see what we're going to do. Teammate Charles Leclerc has come out and said that they haven't been doing enough to get on top of their tyre degradation problems. And if that wasn't bad enough, Carlos Sainz has chimed in, saying that the situation is pretty much the same as it was last season. Apparently, Red Bull and Aston Martin have found some secret formula that Ferrari just can't seem to get their hands on, and it's causing them to degrade their tyres twice as fast. Sainz pointed to Fernando Alonso's pace during the final stint on the hard tyres, which was much better than his own. And get this, he says that as soon as they start pushing, they just go backwards. Team principal Fred Vasseur has promised a thorough investigation into what caused Charles Leclerc to retire from third place in the Bahrain Grand Prix. Fred Vasseur has revealed that the team was caught off guard by the issue that led to Charles Leclerc's retirement from the Bahrain Grand Prix. He confirmed that the team replaced the energy store and control electronics on Leclerc's engine before the race, but he didn't confirm whether these parts were the cause of the issue. He stated that the team had not faced the same issue during pre-season testing, which included 6,000 to 7,000 kilometers of driving with the three teams, Ferrari, Alfa Romeo and Haas, as well as on the dyno. Vasseur admitted that the team needs to conduct a thorough investigation before providing a definitive answer. He revealed that the issue was not with the engine itself, but with an accessory. While he acknowledged the situation was unfortunate, he insisted that it was the real picture of the situation and that the team would work tirelessly to resolve it. Vasseur also acknowledged that Ferrari had a strong showing in qualifying, matching Red Bull's pace. However, their long-run performance was not on the same level, and this was evident in Leclerc's missed opportunity for a podium finish. He emphasized that their reliability issues were a major concern and required significant improvements. The team needed to face the reality of their situation and work hard to make changes and improvements moving forward. The pressure is mounting on Ferrari's team principal as the competition heats up with Aston Martin in the mix. Aston Martin's intimidatingly monstrous car is giving off some serious competition vibes, especially since Red Bull has accused them of copying their design. Fernando Alonso's third place finish and Lance Stroll's sixth place finish are clear indications that the team won't be slowing down anytime soon. This is definitely making Mercedes hopeful, since Aston Martin is using their parts, which means they could very well copy their design, and with Lewis Hamilton behind the wheel, things are sure to get interesting. The battle for second place is set to be a thrilling ride, as it will be a tough task to catch up with the unstoppable force that is Red Bull. However, with Ferrari, Aston Martin and Mercedes all vying for a podium finish, the championship race could become a nail-biting spectacle. Who knows what surprises the season has in store for us, but it's bound to be an exciting ride. So let us know your opinion in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.